Single dad exposed at reunion. Incredible billionaire discovers my amazing triplets. Heartwarming chaos ensues. Jake adjusted his tie for the 5th time. He stood in front of the mirror, trying to quell the nervous energy swirling in his stomach. It was the night of his high school reunion, and he'd rather face 100 oil changes at the mechanic shop or deliver pizzas in the pouring rain than walk into that gym. Memories of being teased, the awkward kid from the wrong side of town, played like a broken record in his head. But that kid was long gone, replaced by a single dad of 3 rambunctious triplets, Mia, Max, and Molly, who deserved more than the fleeting validation of high school glory. As the evening approached, he looked at his kids playing in the living room. Their laughter danced through the air, rising and falling like music. Jake's heart swelled with pride. They had no idea of the weight of the world resting on his shoulders, but they were his world. He had taught them resilience, hard work. They were more than just his children. They were his reason to fight against the odds and never back down. When Jake entered the reunion, the atmosphere was thick with a mix of nostalgia and tension. Rich classmates, now successful and glamorous, filled the room. He felt small among them, but the moment he caught a glimpse of Mia, Max, and Molly setting up their talent show under a flickering gym light, he inhaled deeply, reminded of the love that brewed untouchable in their precious bond. Laughter erupted from the trio as they sang off-key and danced with delight. Jake smiled proudly and couldn't help but approach, a proud dad amidst the glitzy crowd. That's when Ryan, the billionaire tech entrepreneur, spotted them. The gentle giant turned into a man who once shoved him into a locker. Yet now Ryan looked on, eyes wide with surprise at the kids' infectious talents and their father's unwavering support. "Jake, you still hang out with the misfits," came a sharp voice, igniting whispers among the crowd. Old rivalries flared, yet the fire in Jake's heart burned for his children. Each show of judgment washed over him, but he weathered it. Their laughter shielded him. Then things took a tense turn. "Did you really raise those kids alone?" a classmate sneered, eyes filled with skepticism. Jake's chest tightened, battling old insecurities and the simmering need for respect. It threatened to unravel everything he'd fought for. He took a step forward, voice steady. "Success isn't about bank accounts, it's about character, about family." Murmurs cascaded through the crowd, their judgments hanging like hazy fog. Just when he thought respect might grow, the door swung open, heralding an unexpected arrival, an old rival from his past. The atmosphere grew thick with unspoken tension. Would he crumble under the weight of their eyes? The look in Ryan's eyes felt like a lifeline, but could also drag him down. Jake's heart raced as he held his children close. Could he show his classmates the true value of what he'd built against the daunting shadow of their wealth? That they were riches beyond measure? Jake stood tall, a beacon of love in chaos, facing a crowd caught between admiration and age-old biases. As his children cheered for him, hope flickered bright. But could he hold fast against the tide of judgment? The edges of his heart trembled, ready for the coming storm. As Jake stood there, the air buzzing with tension, the door swung open wider, revealing Casey, the loudmouth who had made his teenage years a minefield of embarrassment. Casey strode in like it was a runway, confidence radiating off him in waves. Well, if it isn't my old friend Jake," he smirked, his eyes scanning the scene with a predatory gleam. "And look how far you've fallen." The crowd shifted, whispers darting through the room like mischievous butterflies. Jake felt his palms sweat, but he took a deep breath, reminding himself of what was truly important. Mia, Max, and Molly stood behind him, eyes bright and unfazed by the unkindness that lurked in the air. "Mia, Molly, Max, show everyone your amazing talents," he said, trying to channel the energy of their laughter into something uplifting. The triplets glanced at each other before launching into yet another rendition of their favorite song, their voices a sweet cacophony that filled the space. The smiles of the other kids drew some attention. Ryan leaned in closer, intrigued by the performance. For a moment, even Casey seemed to falter, his confident facade slipping. The laughter of the triplets was simply infectious, casting a net of warmth that wrapped around the room. But Casey had never been one to let go of a good opportunity to bring someone down. "You know, Jake," he called out, drawing the crowd's eyes back to him, It's not surprising that you're still whatever this is." He gestured dismissively at the talent show unfolding. Everyone knows that raising kids alone is a one-way ticket to failure. The air felt heavy, charged. Jake's heart raced. But amidst the clamor of Casey's insults, he found himself looking not at his former bully, but at his kids, swaying to their own beat, grinning from ear to ear. Somewhere within, an ember ignited. Could he allow this moment to be dictated by others? "Mistakes? Sure," Jake said, his voice steady, growing bolder. "But every day, I try to teach my kids that true success is measured by love, not wealth. They are my world. But can you even afford to give them what they need?" Casey sneered, a thin smile curving his lips. Jake held his breath for a split second, feeling the ripples of doubt return. But then he took another look at Mia, Max, and Molly, spinning in delight, lost in their performance. They didn't care about the judgment. They didn't feel the weight of the insecurities hanging in the air. They were bright, bold, and so very precious to him. "I may not have a yacht, Casey," he replied, finally locking eyes with the crowd. "But I have something far better, a family that loves each other fiercely, and that's worth more than any dollar sign." There was a moment of silence. Jake scanned the room, looking for a glimmer of understanding, a ripple of awakening in the eyes of those who had once dismissed him. Ryan nodded slowly, a sign of solidarity amidst the hatred. Then suddenly the mood shifted. The triplets, sensing their father's energy, finished their song with an exaggerated final note, arms spread wide, chins tilted up like they owned the place. The room erupted in applause. It wasn't just for the performance. It felt like respect too. Casey shifted uncomfortably, lips pursed, but Jake could see the envy in his eyes. It flickered, and something deep inside him felt slightly triumphant. But just as relief washed over him, a new figure entered the room, pausing to absorb the scene. A woman, strikingly beautiful yet familiar, her gaze scanning the crowd and landing squarely on Jake. Jake's heart skipped a beat. Was that really Nicole? He muttered under his breath in disbelief. Could this be the moment that spiraled everything into a new chaos? Would his past collide with his hard-won present? The room held its breath, leaving Jake teetering on a precipice of uncertainty. Nicole stepped forward, her hair dancing lightly around her shoulders, and her eyes like searching suns trying to find familiarity in a sea of faces. Jake's heart raced. Memories of laughter and dreams burst forth, echoing the life they had once planned together. But that was a lifetime ago, wasn't it? "Hey, Jake," she said, her voice calm yet shaken. "It's been a while." "Yes, it really has." He stumbled over his words, a cascade of emotions colliding inside his head. Casey leaned against the wall, arrogance momentarily gone, his smirk replaced with something closer to curiosity. The crowd began to murmur, as if sensing a dramatic shift, as all eyes turned towards Nicole. Mia, Max, and Molly paused mid-celebration, eyes gleaming with innocence, wondering who this woman was who had captured their father's attention so completely. Jake knelt down to their level, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Kids, this is Nicole. She used to be someone special in my life." Nicole's gaze softened as she took in the triplets, her expression transitioning from shock to warm recognition. "They're beautiful, Jake. You have a wonderful family." The moment lingered, a snapshot suspended in time, before Casey decided to rumble back to life. "What's this? The long-lost love returns, and suddenly you think you can have it all, Jake?" He laughed, but it was thinning, a coward's film over insecurity. Jake felt his blood boil, but he restrained himself. He had come to life in the past years, layers of pain shed, and he refused to let Casey pull him into an old animosity. "I don't think any of this has to do with you, Casey," Jake began. "This is about my kids and—" "Your kids," Casey interrupted, the disdain in his voice almost palpable. "Do you really have what it takes to be their father? I mean, Nicole is here now. It's a pretty big contrast." Every eye in the room shifted back to Nicole, and Jake felt heaviness in his chest. What would she think? Was she going to see him for the failure Casey implied? But Nicole held her ground. "What matters, Casey, is how much love and heart Jake pours into his children every single day. That's a true father. The crowd subtly shifted their gaze back to Jake, encouraging him, uniting behind him. It wasn't just a war against Casey anymore, it was a moment for him to claim what he knew to be true. That love transcended a bank balance, that he was enough for his children, and that he could face whatever judgment came his way. "Thanks, Nicole," Jake said, his voice steady. "I know I'm not perfect, but I'm all in for my kids. They're everything." But beneath the thunderous applause that wrapped around him, a part of Jake remained quietly concerned. Despite their shared past, how would Nicole fit into his life now? Would she even want to? As the room pulsed with excitement, Jake caught a glimpse of her smile faltering, her gaze drifting away, lost in thoughts only she could hear. What was going on in that mind of hers? Would the past anchor them together, or pull them apart? "Can we talk?" he asked, his heart diving into the unknown. The air thickened around them, and he could feel the weight of both dreams and regrets swirling beneath layers of hope. "Sure. Later," she replied softly, but he could hear the hesitation in her voice, the question lingering in the space between them. The world around them faded momentarily. Jake took a deep breath, sensing that perhaps this reunion might unravel more than he anticipated: love, family, and maybe even the chaotic strife he thought he had long since escaped. As they resumed the talent show, Jake's mind whirled with possibilities. Would he truly be ready to confront the pieces of his past? And would it all affect the delicate balance he had established with his kids? The applause faded into murmurs, minds buzzing with wonder. Jake stared into the crowd, feeling the weight of unspoken questions, as Nicole continued her conversation with those nearby, her laughter melodious yet laced with something else. What would her next words bring about? The night morphed in countless directions, and all Jake could do was hope he wouldn't be lost in the swirl of stories unfolding around him. The evening had just begun, and in the wake of that sweet, familiar laughter, an irresistible challenge approached. Would he face it head-on or allow it to slip away? Jake's heart drummed steadily in his chest as he glanced sidelong at Nicole. She fit so naturally into the crowd, her laughter light and inviting, like a song he had longed to hear again. But he couldn't shake the feeling that his own shadow loomed large behind him. The kids were watching, their young faces alight with curiosity, and he felt a mounting pressure to be the father they needed. He forced himself to focus on the talent show. Mia, with her confidence blossoming, was ready for her magic act. Max was shy, fiddling with his bow tie, clearly nervous about his solo dance. And Molly, the spunky one, cracked jokes to lighten the mood. Each moment they stepped into the spotlight was interwoven with a thrill that shimmered in the air. As Jake cheered for them, he caught glimpses of Nicole's reactions. The way her eyes widened as Mia's trick unfolded, how she laughed unabashedly at Max's dancing, and the way she moved closer to the stage, captivated. It inflated his heart with warmth. Was it just nostalgia, or was there something real still between them? But just as anticipation filled the air, Casey wove his way back into the center of the scene. "So, Jake," he shouted with mock cheerfulness, "are you going for Best Dad of the Year, or just trying to impress your old flame?" The crowd leaned in, a tide of eyes shifting between them. Jake steeled himself. He wouldn't let Casey manipulate him in front of everyone. "This isn't about you, Casey. My kids are what matter here, not your cheap shots." Nicole turned partially towards him, an approving glance sliding across her features. It gave him strength. "You really think they can look up to a man who's barely making ends meet?" Casey's tone dripped with condescension. "It might just be too little, too late. A fairy tale in a crumbling castle." The crowd took a collective breath. Jake clenched his fists, the familiar rage bubbling up. Inside, he was unearthing forgotten parts of himself. The frustrated artist, the young man envisioning a future filled with dreams. He had fought to rebuild, chasing after hope one small step at a time. When Mia finished her act with an enthusiastic flourish, she blurted, "Daddy, can we go see Nicole?" The question brought clarity, a sharp reminder of his role. Jake turned to Nicole, sensing the weight of the moment. "So, what do you say? Dinner soon? Just us, catching up?" The room seemed to exhale as Nicole hesitated. For a brief moment, he saw conflict in her eyes. Memories, emotions, and uncertainties. I'd love that. Just need to clear my head first. Of course. Jake nodded, anchoring himself in that smile, her warmth. It felt like hope stitched into a patchwork of uncertainty. As the show wrapped up, the kids ran over, bubbling with excitement about their performances. Jake scooped them up into affectionate hugs, feeling the rush of love surge through him. Nicole watched from a distance, a thoughtful smile on her face, but there was something deeper behind her gaze. As the crowd began to disperse, Jake felt light, but the dance of nostalgia had certainly brought forth shadows. What would happen now? Would their past continue to haunt him, or could they weave a new narrative? Just when he felt ready to breathe, he caught sight of Casey slipping through the crowd. His eyes narrowed, hinting at something sinister in the air. It was like a storm looming just beyond the horizon. Jake, Nicole's voice broke through his thoughts, pulling him back. Can we talk about everything? Yeah, he replied, his pulse quickening as reality bubbled back up. I'm ready. As they stepped aside, the weight of overdue conversations loomed large. Would the talk bring together old wounds or reveal new truths? A gentle breeze swept through the night, rattling Jake's thoughts. Stepping into the unknown felt both exhilarating and terrifying. But one thing was clear. Everything was about to change. Jake led Nicole to a quieter corner of the park, the echo of laughter and cheers fading behind them. The moonlight filtered through the trees, casting a soft glow on their faces. He could feel the weight of their shared past and the potential of what lay ahead at the same time. Jake, she began, her voice barely above a whisper. There's so much I need to say. He could hear the tremor in her words, an old vulnerability he recognized all too well. Me too, he replied softly, the tension in his shoulders easing slightly. It's been a long time. The air between them thickened with unspoken words. Memories flashed through Jake's mind. Their laughter, the way they used to dance in the kitchen, and the dreams they built together before everything fell apart. Would they ever come back to that? Or had too much time gone by? Nicole took a deep breath. I've thought about how we ended, how everything spiraled. She hesitated, as if the right words were just out of reach. Part of me wishes I could just undo it. He felt a flicker of hope light up inside him. We can't change the past, but we can talk about the present, about us, or whatever this is. Jake was surprised at how easily those words flowed from his lips. Maybe it was the magic of the evening, or the weight of longing that had settled in his chest. Just then, a loud shout erupted from Molly, who was showing off her newly learned cartwheel to a group of friends. Look at me, she cried, landing it awkwardly but with pride. Jake couldn't help but grin. Children seemed to have that remarkable gift of pulling people into the moment, reminding them of joy. Nicole smiled at the sight, her eyes sparkling with warmth. You've done a tremendous job with them, Jake. They're wonderful. Thanks, he said, his heart swelling. They've helped me more than you know. He paused, stealing a glance at Nicole. It's not easy being a single dad, but they light up my world. She shifted slightly, an earnest expression settling on her face. I've thought about my role in all of this too. I've missed so much. It's not fair to them or to you. Jake took a step closer. We both made choices, Nicole. It was hard, and they were personal. But we're here now. That has to mean something. Their eyes locked, the unspoken weight of their shared pain hanging like a fragile thread between them, ready to snap at any moment. A part of him knew that this conversation could either stitch the pieces back together or tear them apart for good. I don't want to just come back into your life and create chaos, she said, voice stronger now, almost fervent. But I can't ignore what I feel either. He swallowed hard, the reality of her words hitting him. The old Jake, the one filled with dreams and aspirations, could barely fathom embracing the uncertainty that came with her words. What if there's a way forward? Before they could delve deeper, the laughter of their children drew them from their moment. Max stumbled on a dance step, sprawling onto the grass. He erupted in laughter, and soon the others joined in, the carefree joy ringing like a bell in the night air. Seeing them, Jake felt something shift inside him. There was a spark, a possibility budding beneath the layers of regret. We need to figure this out, For them and for us, he declared, more determined than ever. Together? Nicole asked, her voice soft but hopeful. Together, he affirmed, sealing the promise they both needed. As they turned back to watch their kids, a stirring in Jake's heart whispered that change was coming. Would the reunion mean reconciling everything they once had, or would it lead them into uncharted territory? In the distance, Casey's shadow lingered, an ominous reminder that the past was never far behind. What was his next move? And how could Jake protect his family from whatever turmoil Casey might unleash? The questions lingered in the air like a storm waiting to break. The laughter of the kids began to fade softly, their energy scattering into the cool evening air as they charged towards the swings. Jake and Nicole glanced at each other, an unvoiced agreement wrapping around them like a warm blanket, a promise against the chill of uncertainty. "Want to join them?" Jake asked, lifting his gaze to the swirling backdrop of stars. "I think they would love that." Nicole chuckled lightly, though it held a tinge of nervousness. "Aren't you the one worried about chaos?" He smirked. "Maybe I enjoy a little chaos, especially if it comes with all this." He gestured towards the gleeful commotion that was their children, a rush of warmth blooming in his chest. As they strolled toward the swings, Jake felt the weight of discontent lift just a little. The night cocooned them in a soft embrace, its stillness giving space for hope to sprout. The shadows of their past were like distant thunder, but right now, it felt like a new chapter was unfolding, bright and full of potential. Max climbed onto a swing, calling out to them. "Mom, come push me." His eagerness was infectious, a bright beacon that pushed away lingering doubts. Nicole's smile faltered slightly, but she made her way to her son, her movements radiating a mix of apprehension and eagerness. Jake observed, his heart racing as memories surged back. This was their family, or could it be again? "Hey, let me help too," he called out, rushing over. Together they gently pushed Max, laughter spilling like sugar on the air. Nicole's hair danced with the soft breeze, and Jake found himself mesmerized by the way she interacted with their son. There was an undeniable warmth, a connection that he had longed to see in his own life, one he thought might never return. "I forgot how much fun this is," Nicole said, her laughter blending with that of the children. For a moment the weight of the past lifted. It felt just like old times, before the hurt, before the mess they both had navigated. But as Max soared through the air, joy splashed on his every giggle. A reminder of the storms that lay ahead lingered in the corner of Jake's mind. Casey's presence loomed larger, the specter of unresolved issues hovering over their rekindled bond. "Nicole," Jake began cautiously, pausing to find the right words amid the cheerful chaos. "We really need to talk about him." "Casey." Her smile faltered, her eyes clouding with worry. "You think he'll interfere?" "I don't know," he admitted. "But I can't just bury this. It could come after us, and I need to know you're ready to face it." Her expression shifted, the joy from moments ago flickering like a candle in an unsettling wind. "What if I'm not? What if I can't do this?" He stepped closer, their sides almost brushing. "You are doing it right now. You're here. They need you, and I need you too." He could feel her hold on the swing's chains tighten as her thoughts raced. Would she grasp the chance to reclaim her place close to Max and Molly? Was it worth diving into the storm for the chance of emergence on the other side? The sound of children's laughter filled the silence, but the uncertainty loomed large between them, like an unexpected gust of wind. At that moment, a flash of headlights cut through the night as a sleek car pulled up at the edge of the park. Jake's heart sank. A figure stepped out, and his stomach dropped. It couldn't be. "What's wrong?" Nicole asked, alarmed at the shift in his expression. "Just stay close," he urged, tension flooding through him. The past hadn't just been lurking, it was now pounding loudly at the door of their present. As the figure moved toward them, Jake prepared to face the uncertainty head-on. Would they have the strength to stand together? Or would the shadows of the past once again steal their light? The figure strode towards them, silhouetted against the headlights like an ominous specter. Jake's pulse quickened, each beat pounding loudly in his ears. The familiar gait weighed heavily on his mind, memories he had hoped to leave behind returning with a vengeance. "Jake," The voice was unmistakable, deep, confident, an eerie echo of years gone by. Nicole turned, fear flickering in her eyes. "Who is it?" It's Casey," he stammered, the name tasting bitter even on his tongue. The man approached, a smirk plastered across his face. "Look who we have here. The perfect little family enjoying a night out at the park. How quaint." His words dripped with sarcasm, a knife sliding into the fragile bubble that Jake and Nicole had built around themselves. Jake took a step forward, instinct kicking in. "What do you want, Casey?" "Just came to see how you two are doing. I thought I'd drop by. Family outings, right?" Casey's gaze flicked to Max, swinging gleefully, oblivious to the tension crackling in the air. Nicole's grip on the swing tightened. "You don't belong here, not now." "Why, because you're all happy and cozy?" Casey laughed, but there was something darker beneath the amusement. "Let's face it, Nicole. You had a chance to escape, to find something real with Jake, but you were never strong enough to leave me behind." Jake could feel the anger boiling in his stomach, but he took a breath, forcing calm into his voice. "You don't get to decide what's real for us. This is our life, and you're not part of it." Casey took a step forward, eyes narrowing. "I think you're underestimating how connected we are, Jake. This isn't over, not by a long shot." Nicole moved closer to Jake, grounding him with her presence. She spoke slowly but firmly. "If you think you can just stir up trouble and walk away, you're mistaken." A glint of something predatory flashed in Casey's eyes, and Jake felt a chill run down his spine. The laughter of the children faded into the background, the joy evaporating as if a storm cloud had rolled in, casting shadows over their small paradise. Casey tapped a finger against his temple, a mocking gesture. "You both don't understand what you're dealing with. I know a thing or two about perseverance. You think family memories can shield you from the truth? Think again." Jake clenched his fists, fighting the urge to lash out. The stakes were high, and he couldn't afford to let Casey bait him, especially not in front of the kids. But how could they protect their fragile happiness from this man who thrived on chaos? "Just leave us alone," Jake insisted, the firmness in his voice trembling with unspoken fear. "We don't want anything to do with you." "Yet here I am," Casey replied, satisfaction creeping into his tone. "And trust me, I'll be around. You might want to keep an eye on—" He pointed at Max, his voice dripping with menace. "What's precious to you?" As Casey took a step back, Jake felt a wave of nausea wash over him. He glanced at Nicole, her expression a mix of frustration and fear. The warmth and safety they had momentarily felt dissipated, leaving them on shaky ground once more. "Are you all right?" he whispered urgently. The playfulness in the park seemed a distant memory now, as they stood under the harsh reality of their fears. Nicole nodded, but the uncertainty lingered in her eyes, a silent acknowledgement of the battle ahead. Just then, Max, oblivious to the tension, called out joyfully, "Can we go get ice cream, Mom, please?" Jake swallowed hard, his heart aching. How could they tell him the truth? How could they shield them from the impending storm? "Sure, buddy," Nicole replied, though her voice wavered slightly. Jake's gaze was locked on Casey, who was now retreating, a satisfied smirk still plastered on his face. The threat loomed large, but they couldn't show weakness to the kids. With every ounce of strength he held, he returned his focus to his family. As they turned to leave the park, the shadows seemed to stretch longer, intertwining with their fear of the approaching storm. Could they navigate through the turmoil Casey had stirred? Or would it engulf them, threatening everything they had struggled to rebuild? The pavement ahead felt unsteady, a path fraught with uncertainty, but Jake held on to hope until the next confrontation. The ice cream parlor was a small haven, a place where laughter and sweetness combined to create a temporary bubble of joy. Jake watched as Max's eyes sparkled with excitement, a stark contrast to the darkness that had just invaded their lives. Nicole leaned closer, wrapping her arm around him, and he felt a momentary sense of relief. But even as they stood in line, his mind was racing, the cuts from Casey's words still fresh. "Maybe we should keep the lights on tonight," Nicole whispered, "just in case." Jake nodded, but inside fear gnawed at him. "Do you think he'll really come after us? After Max?" The question slipped out, heavy and unyielding. "We can't know for sure," she replied, her eyes darting toward Max, oblivious to their hushed conversation. "We just need to be vigilant." When they received their cones, Max dashed toward a nearby table, his laughter ringing sweetly in the air. Nicole hesitated a moment before following, leaving Jake alone with his thoughts and the weight of Casey's threat. As he sat down at the table, he watched Max savor each bite, blissfully unaware of the danger lurking outside their temporary joy. He wanted nothing more than to shield him from the world, the ugliness, the fear, and the manipulations of someone who should have been left in the past. "Dad, try this chocolate fudge." Max's innocent voice cut through his thoughts, pulling him back into the moment. Jake smiled, a genuine smile that fought against the fear. "It looks amazing, buddy," he said, scooping a hesitant bite of the ice cream Max offered. For a fleeting moment, the taste of chocolate drowned out the tension. Still, the grim reality was never far from his mind. Nicole returned, her brows knit together, her ice cream untouched. "I heard something," she said, urgency lining her voice. "Some parents talking. They said Casey's been seen around here, looking for you specifically." Jake's heart raced. How is that possible? He shouldn't even be around. He wants to mess with our lives, and now he's in our space. He can't just disappear, especially not with his connections. "This could be bigger than we thought, Jake," Nicole said, a hint of panic creeping into her tone. Max's laughter rang out in the air around them, a blissful reminder of why they needed to keep fighting. But the threat of Casey loomed ever larger in Jake's mind. "Listen, Maddie's parents are friends with the local police," Nicole continued, tightening her grip on her ice cream cone, as if it were a lifeline. "Maybe we should reach out, just to let them know what might be coming our way." "Right," Jake replied. But even as he tried to absorb her words, doubt crept in. Would they take him seriously? Would they understand the danger he knew too well? As they left the ice cream parlor, the warm summer night felt oppressive, like a blanket of anxiety draping over them. Jake glanced around, half expecting to see Casey lurking in the shadows. "Let's get back home," Jake said, urgency pushing him forward. He wanted to feel safe again, to believe they could escape together. But when they stepped out into the parking lot, shadows danced along the pavement, twisting into malevolent shapes. "Jake," Nicole's voice trembled, and he turned to see her pointing. A figure leaned against a car across the street, the outline sharp in the glow of the street lamp. The smirk was unmistakable, a taunting reminder of the battle they faced ahead. "Let's go," he urged, grabbing her hand and pulling Max close. As they hurried to their car, a single thought echoed in Jake's mind. How far would Casey go? The uncertainty loomed over them like a black cloud, threatening to unleash a storm upon their fragile peace. Just as they reached their vehicle, Jake looked back, only to find Casey had vanished, like smoke dissolving into the night. But what was left behind was a heavy question. Would they ever truly be free from him? The night felt far from over, and now the real fight for their lives was just beginning. The car ride home was heavy with silence. Max, busy with his thoughts about ice cream flavors, occasionally chimed in with random facts about dinosaurs, blissfully unaware of the tension hanging thick in the air. Jake glanced in the rearview mirror, catching a glimpse of Nicole's tight expression. The carefree laughter from the ice cream parlor now felt like a distant memory, overshadowed by the reality of Casey's presence. Once they parked in their driveway, Jake saw the house come into view, every window dark, every shadow static and unmoving. "We need to lock up tight tonight," he insisted, trying to bolster the sense of safety they needed. He stepped out of the car, his heart racing as he looked around the quiet street. The sun had dipped below the horizon, leaving behind only an ink-black sky littered with stars. "Dad, can we just check for monsters under my bed first?" Max pleaded, his eyes wide with a mix of innocence and fear. "Of course," Jake replied with a soft smile, forcing himself to sound more confident than he felt. "What do you think? A T-Rex will jump out?" Max giggled, the sound landing like a soothing balm on Jake's frayed nerves. Together they walked inside, the air heavy with echoes and emptiness. Nicole busied herself with locking the door, while Jake led Max through the house, checking the rooms, diving under beds and peer-pressing into closets. It was a performance they had perfected over time, reassurance mixed with feigned bravery. Each moment of play was a reminder to Jake of the pretense they had to maintain, like actors in a show where the stakes were their very lives. After their monster check, Max settled down to watch cartoons, curled up on the couch. Nicole joined him, leaning into the comfort of the normalcy they so desperately clung to. She seemed to exhale slowly, tension leaving her body bit by bit. Jake watched them from the kitchen, the warmth of the sight brightening his mood just enough to push away the dark thoughts that threatened to consume him. Maybe I can bake some cookies, he thought, reaching for the flour. The gentle process of cooking often provided him the distraction he craved. Just as he was pouring the flour into a bowl, his phone buzzed loudly on the counter. Jake jumped, spilling flour like snow on the tile. He quickly grabbed the phone and his heart sank when he saw the caller ID. Maddie's dad, Officer Green. "Jake, I just heard from Maddie that you're in a bit of trouble. Can we meet?" Green's steady voice cut right through the floury chaos like a knife. "Is it about Casey?" Jake couldn't help but ask, anxiety rapidly spilling into every crevice of his thoughts. There was a pause on the other end. "Yeah," Green finally replied. "We need to take this seriously. He's got connections and we can't take any chances." "You think he's really looking for us for Max?" The panic began to build, clawing at Jake's chest. "It's possible, Jake. We can set up a plan," Green assured him. "I'm on my way now." The call disconnected, leaving Jake standing in the kitchen where light from the overhead fixture flickered ominously. He turned to face Nicole, her eyes already darting to his. "What's going on?" she asked, unease creeping onto her brow. "Officer Green is coming over. We need to talk about Casey." Nicole swallowed hard. "You think he'll show up here? Here, of all places?" A fear ignited in Jake. "I don't know, but we need to prepare. We can't act like everything's okay." Just then, they heard the sound of rustling outside. A wind picked up, rattling leaves against the window. Jake and Nicole exchanged a quick, panicked glance. No more pretending. The night was just beginning, and danger was knocking at their door. As they gathered protection, a baseball bat and a small knife from the kitchen drawer, Jake felt a sense of foreboding settle deep in his bones. Would their preparations be enough? And what would they do if Casey actually came for them? The realization that their fight was just beginning sent shivers down his spine. Jake and Nicole stood in the kitchen, hearts pounding, the weight of impending danger settling heavy in the air. Max was still engrossed in his cartoons, blissfully unaware of the shadows gathering around them. "Jake," Nicole whispered, her eyes wide with concern. "What if he comes here?" "We won't let that happen," he replied, trying to ground himself in the urgency of the moment. "We'll be ready. We'll protect our family." He gripped the baseball bat tightly, feeling the weight of it anchoring him to the present. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door, firm and measured, echoing like thunder in the silence. Jake exchanged a glance with Nicole. Her face was pale, but there was determination in her eyes. "It's probably Officer Green," Jake said, though he felt the knot of fear tighten in his gut. He tiptoed toward the door, straining to listen, the faint sound of rustling outside sharpening his senses. He hesitated for just a moment before opening the door, revealing Green standing there, a calm yet serious expression plastered across his face. "Jake," he said quickly, stepping inside. "We don't have much time." "What do you know?" Jake asked, closing and locking the door behind him. Green's voice lowered. "We've been tracking Casey's movements. He's been asking questions. People are worried about him showing up here." Nicole's breath caught. "He wouldn't dare, would he?" Green shook his head. "He has a history of pushing boundaries. We need to secure the perimeter and have a plan in place. For your safety and the kids." Max wandered into the kitchen, ice cream smeared across his cheek, oblivious to the gravity of the situation. "Are we having an ice cream party?" he asked, beaming. Jake knelt down, forcing a smile. "Not right now, buddy. We're just planning a surprise for you." Green knelt next to Max, an unexpected gentleness softening his features. "Listen, Max, I need you to stay close to your parents. Can you do that for me?" Max's eyes flickered with seriousness as he nodded. "I can do that." As Jake straightened, He noticed Nicole watching him from across the room, looking both relieved and anxious. "Green, what can we do now?" "We need to set up a safe zone in the house. Don't use the front door unless necessary. Always check the windows, and most importantly, stay alert." They moved from room to room, quickly boarding up any access points. Jake's heart raced with every creak of the floorboards, the world outside feeling dangerously uncertain. Time passed in a blur of motions, but they stayed focused, the urgency galvanizing them into action. Max helped, following them around with a toy flashlight, his little face adorably serious. "I'll help scare the monsters away," he declared, flicking the beam of light toward every shadow. For a moment, laughter helped lighten the oppressive tension, filling the air with warmth rather than dread. Soon they settled in the living room, the eerie silence magnified by their close-knit circle. Green pulled out his phone, a look of concentration lining his brow. "I've alerted the local patrols. They'll keep an eye on things tonight." "But what if he still comes?" Nicole's voice trembled. "He won't do anything crazy at first. He'll come in subtle ways. You can count on that," Green reassured them. "But if he does, we'll be ready. Just remember, don't open the door to anyone unless we say so." The rustling outside intensified momentarily, every tree branch scraping against the window like a ghostly whisper. Nicole and Jake exchanged a glance, the tension thickening in their chests. Just then, a sudden crash echoed through the night, a sound splintering in the silence. Jake's heart leaped into his throat, adrenaline surging as he crouched low, eyes wide. That came from outside. "I'll check it out," Green said, his voice steady but urgent. "Stay here." Nicole gripped Jake's arm, her eyes sparkling with fear. "Jake, I don't like this." "We're in this together, Nicole," he whispered back, his resolve hardening in his chest. "No matter what happens." Green moved cautiously to the door, opening it just a crack to peek outside. Max leaned closer, curiosity outweighing caution. "Is it the monster?" "Stay back, Max," Jake instructed softly, guiding their son to the back of the room, while his voice remained calm despite the tumult of emotions roiling within. Green went still, then shot back indoors, urgency painting his features. "We have to move now." "What? What's happening?" Nicole's voice shook in the stillness. "Someone's here." Jake wasted no time, grabbing Nicole and Max's hands in each of his heart pounding in sync with the tension in the air. "Quickly, to the basement!" The three sprinted as Green closed the door behind them, moving swiftly to block it with furniture. They plunged into the darkness of the basement, feeling the cool air envelop them as they hastily descended. It was an unfamiliar space, filled with the scent of dust and forgotten memories. Jake could feel tension thick like fog, an encroaching worry narrowing in. "Max, I need you to stay quiet, okay?" he whispered, crouching to meet their son's gaze. "We're going to be just fine, just like fumigating the house from those pesky bugs, okay?" Max nodded, clutching tightly to the toy flashlight, his little face pinched with determination. They settled into a corner, the shadows growing thicker all around them. Jake felt Nicole tense beside him, their hands still linked as the sound of footsteps creaked overhead. A moment stretched long before a thud echoed down. Jake's heart dropped as he felt his world constrict around them. This was it. The danger had finally come to their doorstep. And then came the grating sound of the back door being forced open, slithering into the basement like a serpent. Casey's voice broke through the silence, sharp and mocking. "Oh, Jake, where are you hiding with that pathetic little family of yours?" Jake's blood ran cold, and for a moment, everything felt unbearably still. But within that stillness, something fierce ignited within him. This was not just a fight for himself, it was for his family. Together, we'll fight. Nicole tightened her grip, fear mingled with a simmering determination etched across her face. They would stand, side by side, whatever storm Casey unleashed. Jake's heart was resolute as he prepared to face the one man who had always tried to bring him down. He wouldn't let that happen again. This time they were stronger. This time they would not back down. They stood united as shadows closed in, a defiant light flickering within their hearts.